What's up, everybody? My name is Adam. Welcome back to the Heroes for Sale podcast. So I am very excited that I'm going to be bringing on one of my good friends, my internet friends, someone that I met in this weird world that is the internet, Jason Richards. Is that correct? Richardson. Okay, perfect.
Yes, sir. Yep.
So Jason Richardson, I was on his podcast a couple months ago, and we talked about sports cards. You know, I think we have very similar interests when it comes to content and all that stuff. So Jason, tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, first of all, man, thanks for having me on, Adam. I really appreciate it, man. You're killing it with sports card content and doing so much good things, man. When you're on my podcast, you know, I thank you for all the information you helped me with, and you're one of the first people I talked to about sports cards. So it's pretty cool to be on your show, man. I'm really excited. And about me, I'm 28 years old. I live in the Bay Area, California, a little town called Pinole. I'm a fitness trainer, kickboxing trainer. I've been doing martial arts since the age of 8 years old, so about 20 years. So, you know, that's what I'm up to. And just for fun, I like to do poems. And recently, back in September, got into sports cards. So I've been active in that. And yeah, man, that's what I'm about: fitness and you know, making content all day, every day. And, you know, sports cards is about that. So happy to answer some questions today, man.
Absolutely. So I have a funny story to tell you, actually, before we get into this episode. So back in maybe March or April when I was on your show, I must have read your message in the morning, like right when I woke up or right before I went to bed. So for some reason, I thought you were asking me to be on this show. So I put together all of these questions. So this is probably actually going to be one of the easiest interviews I've ever done, because I have been doing this research since like back then. And then when you're like, oh, we're going to do it on Zoom, I'm like, I can't record how am I going to record this podcast on Zoom? I have no idea what I'm doing. And then I put two and two together. I'm like, oh, wait a second. I probably misread the message, and that's what led me to realizing that you were actually asking me to be on my show. And I'm like, wow, oh, man. Well, that was what happened a couple months ago.
Man, it turned out fine, man. It went really well.
Yeah. So I think we have very similar styles of content. So from your perspective, what's your percentage-wise? What would you say is the amount that you're putting out of content that's just like stuff that you want to talk about versus like posts that you think would do well? And I'm using do well in parentheses because it means something different to everybody, but I'm interested to see like what your kind of scale, or if there is a scale, like what how you do that.
Yeah, man, honestly, when I make content, I don't even pay attention if it's going to do well. Like if this video is going to go viral, or, you know, if so many people are going to do that, are going to look at this, get the likes. I just like to post. And I do keep in mind who's watching, so I do try to, you know, put the caption to a way where, you know, somebody can understand more context about the post, or, you know, if the picture's not saying something or the video's not saying something, I always make sure the caption is getting that. And but yeah, whenever I post, man, whether it's about fitness or anything, I just hope that it's entertaining, that it's educating, that it's fun, that it's doing at least one of those things. And you know, if it catches fire, it catches fire. Especially like on TikTok, man. I've been talking to people about TikTok. You know, my most viewed videos have been my sports card videos, not even my fitness videos. It's been sports cards videos, and it's not even anything that I expect to blow up. It's just the fact that I just want to document what I'm doing, what I'm up to, my thoughts, my take on things. You know, what I'm up to, and those videos have, you know, a few videos have done well. And yeah, so whenever I post, man, I never come from a place where I'm trying to really gain an audience. I just want to document. I just want to show people what I'm up to. And you know, I guess you could say 99% of my posts is just about posting, really. Yeah, I don't really have a take on if it's going to, you know,
now
be for the audience.
That's what I figured, but I wanted to ask before just assuming that was the case, because and that's why I said our content is very similar, because like I feel like for me, it's probably like a scale where it's like 90% to 10%, because for the most part, when it comes to sports cards, I would say my level of interest for anything within sports cards is pretty high. So like with TikTok, like you were talking about, like I have been less consistent over the past few weeks, but like for like maybe like 9 months since like last October. It was literally just any piece of card news I made into a video, and then from there it was like just post three to like 5 times a day and just post as much as I could basically. And it really, there were a couple times where eventually I was interested in how things were doing and kind of tailored it a little bit differently and maybe adjusted the text or whatever. But like even, I mean, from an interest standpoint, it was basically just what I was interested in. Right. And it just, I mean, luckily within sports cards, I am interested in like people like Zion and Luka, and it just happens that they're probably the most 2 popular like related topics within that industry as well. So I mean, that definitely helps. But that's what I figured. I mean, like I said, I think your content is very, it's very well done in the sense that here's the thing. I think we've talked about this in the past between quality and quantity. I think the amount of content is way more impressive than like the quality, because like quality is just, to me, subjective, right? Yeah, coming from a graphic design background, like I could love something or hate something, but like if it all depends on who's consuming the thing. So like for you, if like there's a fitness tip that you're putting out or like a video that you put out, like maybe, and I'm sure that, I don't know if this happens or not, but like maybe there's a bunch of people who don't particularly like that. But if there's 2 or 3 people that do, for me, I feel like that's just as important as putting out the content itself.
Exactly, man. I guess there are times where, I try to post to a current event. That does happen, where I'm trying to be up on something. So I will make a piece of content around that too. I guess that's like part of the other 1%. But, a lot of times it's what I'm up to. Like I like to do things like if something happened, like if it was the World Series or something, I'm gonna make I'm gonna make a piece about the World Series. Or if it's something that happened big in music, like Lil Wayne dropped the album, I'm going to say something about that, something like that. Or everybody's making content about, the Will Smith situation. I'm not, because I love Will Smith and I don't want, I don't want to touch that.
Don't want to roast him at all.
Like that's an example, man. Like that's, current events is probably like where you can probably get a more favorable viral thing, I guess I should say.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's what I found definitely within sports cards is like at least that's the stuff I'm interested in. Like if it's a current event, and especially now that sports are coming back, like I was able to write a post the other day on Instagram about like actual news about players playing. And it was the first time I've been able to do that since like March. So it was like, I was sitting there like with a smile on my face being like, this is awesome. Like, this is so great.
Man, that is cool.
Now, cool. So you mentioned Lil Wayne. And so before we get into sports card stuff, I want to ask you, what's your favorite Lil Wayne album / mixtape? Because they kind of it's all the same, basically. So which one's your favorite?
Yeah, man, that's a good one. Gosh, where do I even start?
Yeah, man? Seriously, there's so many.
Yeah, you listened to his last mixtape, his Dedication 6. Did you hear that one?
So yes.
Man, I like that one. I can tell you honestly, I listened to that mixtape every day, something from that mixtape every day for at least 2 years straight, like every day, not even kidding. So I would have to say that's probably my favorite, Dedication 6.
With music, I feel like it comes down to like what's going on during the time period of when the album comes out. Like Carter 3 and like Rebirth and like I'm Not a Human Being all came out like between when I was in high school. So like those were my like 3 of my favorite like Lil Wayne projects that came out, because obviously like the Carter 2 is phenomenal. Like all the Dedication mixtapes are great. Like what's the mixtape with shoot, now I'm gonna hold on, let me just what's the mixtape? Oh, here are all the mixtapes.
Pull it up.
It was No Ceilings. I mean, now
No Ceilings.
Okay, so No Ceilings is my favorite project by him, but I would say that's probably my favorite because it came out when I first got into graphic design. So like that's probably why it's my favorite. But like throw it in the bag, like all the songs on there are just ridiculous. Like I don't know.
They're timeless, man. Timeless.
Yeah, timeless, exactly.
Yeah.
So
that's cool. Yeah. No Ceilings, man, is a good one, man. That is a good one.
I mean, they're all. I don't know. He's really good. So I mean, they're all really good. But
yeah.
So I guess we can get into sports cards since this is a sports card podcast. But
Yeah, man. Let's do
So
it.
when were you first introduced to sports cards?
First introduced. All right, so I gotta like my favorite player. I always say my first card I bought was um, a Trey Young card, or was it? It might have been. It actually was this Gary V cards that he came out with. You know, his own set.
Mm.
But even before that, man, my first sports card. This was nothing to do with business or anything. It's just the fact that I love this player and I wanted his card. Was a Monte Ellis sports card.
Monte Ellis,
Um,
classic.
yeah, dude, I like it's a Topps Chrome too. So if he would have blew up, like I probably had a good card in my hand.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember buying that card in high school because he was my favorite Warrior player. I loved his style. I loved how fast he was. I loved how small he was, but he could get to the hoop anytime. Like he was so nifty and crafty to the hoop. He was a one man fast break. And he was just so fun to watch, man. He didn't have a great shot. You know, he wasn't super clutch, but like I loved his style. I loved how he made the game work for him. And yeah, that was like the first sports card I bought way back in high school. And then coming around to now, you know, I'm a big Gary Vee fan. And you know, like I always follow him what he's saying business wise, mindset wise, leadership wise. And then, you know, he preached about sports cards. And I was like, man, that's something I can really look into and get into. I think he was talking about something like about a Giannis card or something. You probably seen this video. It's like he's riding in the back of a car and he's talking to I forget the guy's name that works with him, but he's like, I'm telling you right now, you know, like if I had this money, I would tell you to go buy a Giannis card. It's like $200 right now. It's gonna be 500, something like that. And then he said like Luka is gonna be this and this and that, and I was like, man, that's hecka interesting. And then I finally came around to get my first card around September. It was a Trey Young card, $50. I really didn't know what I was doing, man, but it was $50. It was a graded 10. I think I hit you up. I was like, dude, what's a good card to get? Like, what's the companies? Because so many cards. Like, what's the like the right company, the right card to get? And you're like Prisms. Prisms was strong, and that's how I got my first card, man.
Yeah, Gary Vee was one of the reasons actually I got back into sports cards as well, which I mean, like I was definitely more into Pokemon when I was growing up because it was just that like it was the 2000 like that first edition, like which I just found like a bunch of those old first edition cards, which Pokemon's a whole that's a thing that's popped up pretty crazily actually over the past few months. But
yeah, man, I've been seeing content around it. I've been telling my friends like you guys are sitting on money, dude.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like anybody who like grew up during that era where there was Pokemon cards, like even the random like base are like a few bucks. Like so if you can just put them up on eBay for like $5 and then you just do like the 50-cent shipping and then you just grab like a top loader and penny sleeve and you can ship it in like a paper envelope and like you made like $5 right there. If you have 100 of them, that's $500.
Exactly. And like my brother and his girlfriend were over a couple weekends ago, man, and I was telling him about sports cards and his girlfriend was like, oh man, you know, I have sports card, I have Pokemon cards. And dude, I got so excited for her, man. I was like, what? You got the original 90s Pokemon cards? She's like, yeah, they're just sitting in a binder. I was like, oh my God. Then,
yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah, man. And then I just took her through like the eBay sold list. I was like, give me a name of a Pokemon. She's like, all right, this and this. And I looked them up and like they were like 200, 300.
I mean, that's not even that uncommon either. Like,
yeah,
like, sure,
exactly.
Like the Charizard and the Blastoise, everybody knows them. But like even like just random, like if you can find random base like first edition holos, like even some of those ones are like $70. It's crazy.
Dude, it's crazy, man, and it's even wild because we grew up on those, and I'm like, I can't believe I was holding those. I see my friends bringing those. My parents didn't let me have Pokemon cards, but I'm like, I was sitting in the classroom in the hallways with those cards, like that. It is just wild. It is, you know, come to 2020 that these cards hold value, like those hologram ones, you know, the reflective ones.
Yes,
like those are going for a couple of thousand, man. I'm like, that is wild. Like I know I've seen that card before. I've seen it physically. And just to see it where it's at now is it's insane. Yeah,
like I think there was I forget the exact price, but there was like a PSA 10 full 152 card, 151. I forget the exact number, like complete set PSA 10 that sold in like golden auctions, like they do like a quarterly auction or whatever. I think it sold for like $100,000 for all the cards.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it was insane.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been trying to put my friends on, man. Like I trained one of my clients this morning. He came to training with a Pikachu sweater on. You can see it on my Instagram stories. He has a Pikachu sweater. And I'm like, dude, are you into Pokemon? I gave him the spiel about what's happening. I'm like, man, you might be sending him some money.
Yeah. So for you, do you remember? So I'm interested, and this is something that I want to, as I'm going through interviews and interviewing more people, I'm interested to know, like, do you remember like what was like was there one piece of content where you originally were just basically, then you were like, yep, I'm buying it. Like this is like, do you remember, was there one piece, or was it like a gradual kind of growth into like buying that the Trae Young card, or was it like, do you remember one thing that was like, this is it, this is the piece of information that I know I'm going to be buying this card?
I would say it's gradual, man, because Gary Vee was just always saying it. He was saying it in videos. He would make a piece of content around it. He would say it in the podcast. And I just kept hearing it, and then finally I did some research. I looked up some hashtags. I looked at people who Gary was reposting. I can't remember if he reposted you or not. Like somehow I came across your page, and I came across other people, and I was just asking questions, and so I think it's just gradually, man. I kept hearing it over and over and over, and that's what helped me do it.
Nice. I mean, I think it was the same for me. I mean, it was more or less like, when I first originally got back into cards, like the transition was basically going from buying and selling like within the MLB The Show marketplace, because you can buy and sell like the digital trading cards on like your computer, not just like in the game. Like with Madden, you had to be playing the game to sell the cards for the coins or whatever. And then I think I saw like Gary Vee had been talking about it a little bit, and he was just like, yeah, I used to go to these shows and buy and sell cards. And I was like, that's what I'm doing in MLB The Show. There's got to be a way I can do this in real life. And then that's kind of where that's where it all started. And then it started to be like, all right, I'm going to produce content, and I'm going to make some money so that way I can open packs. And then I'm like, okay, there's actually some real money I can make here. Maybe I should broaden my horizons and try and build something here, because there's money to be made. And I mean, I think for anybody who got in at the time period when we were getting in, like made some crazy money. Like, so for you, like which cards are you still buying? And then what were the cards that you bought when you originally got back into it?
Man, I wish I was still buying, but I'm like running out of money, honestly. But man, if I had, like, I was talking to my friend Susie, who I also trained. I was like, Susie, if I have $40,000, just laying, like, easily just have 40,000, I wouldn't hesitate to buy cards right now. Like, that's how strong I believe in cards and how strong I've seen it grow. Like, I would spend it all on cards, in this player and that player, and in this rookie card and this rare card, because how strong it's been. And the first card I got, I think that's your question, right? What was the first card I got?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, man. The first, or you asked me if I'm still buying cards. No, so I haven't bought cards.
Yeah, I kind of looped in a bunch of questions. What's the first card? We'll start there.
Yeah. Let's start there. First card I got was I went hard on Trae Young, and it's a good move, man. It's a really good move. It's risky, very risky. But what I liked about it was that Trae Young, he was in the running to be Rookie of the Year against Luka. And Luka, did his thing as a rookie, got Rookie of the Year. Trae Young was right there, and I was like, I didn't know who to pick. I didn't know to go with Luka. I didn't know to go with Trae. What I should have did, Adam, was just buy cards of both players instead of just going all in on one. That's what I learned. That's a mistake I made.
Yeah.
And then another mistake I made was I should have bought way more Trae Young cards. I remember you told me I was like, I actually was like, about like, how should I make this content? I forgot what I asked you, man. You're like, maybe you should share something about like a mistake you made. And I straight up said, I was like, I know I'm making a mistake. I made a video. I said, I know I'm making a mistake of not buying more Trae Youngs. And I didn't buy enough. I bought 11 graded, like out the gates. I got 11 graded cards for $50. And I got like another 11 raw cards. And they were like only like $7 or something like that, man. And then, I sent them in to get graded back in March. They're still over there at the PSA company, man. I don't know how long they're going to be there. I know. So I'm hoping they come back as graded 10s, though, when they do come back.
I mean, even if they're 9s, I'm sure the 9s are probably worth 10 times what you bought them for raw at the time anyways. But yes.
Exactly.
But still.
Exactly. Yeah, the reason, I didn't come out and get Luka, but Trae Young has been very good. He made an all-star team. He produced some good numbers, 29 points per game, 9 assists. He's looking like a really good point guard. I would say he's top 5 in the league. He's just on a terrible team.
Yeah.
But his card went from 50 to, I was looking, what was that, last night, to like 340. So it's a great investment. Great investment. And so that's the first cards. And then the cards I most recently got, what card I most recent? I got those KD cards, the tops 2. I bought like 2 of those. That was like April, so maybe a couple months ago. Thank goodness I got it before Gary Vee posted about it, because now those cards are like $800 now because of the popularity.
I think I remember I was looking through our DMs, and I think one of the cards you had asked me about was the Devin Booker card. I think about like way back, like a year ago.
Oh yeah,
probably.
Devin Booker too. Yep. Devin Booker, man, that's a card I wish I went hard on, because I was kind of right about Devin. I'm like, this guy is so good. Like, why aren't people buying his cards? Why is his card super high? But Gary also saw the same thing too, man. He bought like a couple hundred, it looked like. And then I only bought 1 of his cards. I thought I had time, Adam. I thought I had more time to go back and come get some, but unfortunately I didn't. But what I did do, and what I am doing, I bought some raw cards, like the next version that people aren't looking at, like the second tier, third tier. They got like some Don Russ on there, PSA 10s. They got some Hoops, PSA 10s. Like, those are the cards I want. I want to get some of those. I bought some raw, though, of Don Russ, so I bought like 3 of those.
Nice.
Yeah, that was like the most recent.
So what are the cards you've sold basically since you started, or do you have all the cards that you bought back then and kind of when you've been buying? Yeah,
man, I still got all the cards. And that's kind of like, that's scary because, it could have dropped. I don't know the future. We didn't know the future. We didn't know it was going to grow like this, or if things are going to drop, especially when COVID happened. The market crashed a little bit. Like, things dropped like 50%, man, on some of my cards. But they're all back and doing better now come July. So it's a good move. And I only think they're going to keep growing, so I'm going to hold on. I don't know how long I'm going to hold on, but, like, things are growing so well. The Luka cards are really growing well that I got. Trae Young is continuing to grow. What else do I have? The LeBron James rookie card that I got continues to grow, man. So yeah, like, I haven't sold anything because I don't want to be too early, and hopefully, I don't hit a crash and lose everything.
Yeah, so. I definitely did sell some cards back in March that I cringed looking at the pricing that I sold it for, because it's like, if I had sold those same cards now, they'd be worth like triple what I sold them for back then. But like, I think that's the learning experience for me, where like back then we had no idea what was going to happen. So like, the cards that I sold basically were enough to cover my monthly expenses for at least a month and a half. So I was like, I'm all right selling at the point where I did, even though looking back at it, like I said, most of the cards are triple the price now. But I think within sports cards and kind of just investments like that, it's hard. You definitely shouldn't look at it like that, because if you continue to look at it like that, you'll just think like what could have been instead of what could happen in the future with other cards that are being bought, essentially.
Exactly, man. Because you could have made a good move, right? Like,
the cards could have. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, and I would have been the guy like sitting there like, dang, I should have sold him. So
that's one comment that I got a lot, like when I first started making like TikTok content and like content like on and promoting some stuff on Instagram, was like, well, what happens if the economy collapses? And I'm like, well, then no one's going to care about the cards then. Like, that's not something. I'm not buying these cards with the intention of the economy collapsing. Like, it's like no one goes to the stock market and buys stocks and they're like, damn, I mean, I hope the economy doesn't collapse. That's not even like part of their mindset. Like, And it's the same thing with like, there's some issues going on with people returning stuff on eBay. It's like you can buy stuff and then return it, like if the price goes down, but like you can't do that with stocks. And like, it's just with eBay being that crazy marketplace like it is, like I'm thinking they got to do something about it. But I don't know. It's just hopefully maybe in the future. But so you also bought a Zion National Treasures card, correct?
I did.
And you still have that card.
Yeah, I still have that card, man.
Now,
that's a risky card. That was risky.
Now, I'm extremely interested in why you bought that card, because I was skeptical in the way that when you told me you bought the card, I was like, oh my God, I can't even believe that he bought that. Like, that's correct. Like,
I know,
that
man.
blew my mind when you sent that to me. But like, so at the time, what did you buy that card for?
All right, at the time, I'll tell you exactly what I was going through. Zion was like the most hyped player I've seen since LeBron James. That's what's going through my head. I'm like, nobody has got this attention since LeBron James was coming out of high school going into the league. This is the only player that's ever happened. He was everywhere. His name's buzzing. He's breaking records, with how he's bringing money to the colleges, viewing, social media. His name's everywhere. And I'm like, I just want to ride this hype train, which is dangerous, man. It's dangerous. But I was like, and I'll be honest, like I did not think Zion would look as good as he's looking. I didn't think he would. I honestly thought he'd be more like a Blake Griffin. But from the few games that I saw, he's not going to look like that. He's actually looks pretty solid, man. And so that's why I bought the card, because of the hype. And I was like, I feel like this card's only going to go up. I feel like the market is demanding a lot of them. The supply and demand is there for his name and his cards. And and then he got hurt, and he has knee surgery, and then like that. Like,
that's right. That did happen right after you sent me the thing, and I was like, oh
right
no,
after, dude. Right after, man. Like I got that card for $1,300. That card went down to $800. Right when they announced, like, oh, he's not playing. I was like, oh wow, this is very interesting. So,
but you didn't. But you still have it though, right?
I still have it, man. It's an interesting, like, I'm always thinking about that card. Like, what's going to happen with this card? What can I do with it? Like, I could have spent that money on more. Honestly, this is what I should have done. I should have spent that same money on more reliable players that already proven themselves, honestly, because it's just smarter, right? It's better to just go for players that, like a Steph Curry. I could have got some Steph Currys with that money, or some more KDs. Like, I honestly would have done that, knowing what I know now. But I guess it's just, being a rookie, being crazy, kind of having that just being blind, just not caring because you're new, it's kind of like that.
Yeah,
carelessness
and then seeing a player like Zion, who's the biggest player since LeBron, essentially, like has already signed the deals with Jordan, has already signed the deals with Mountain Dew and Gatorade and all these places. I mean, in my opinion, I think the thing with Zion, is like the fact that he signed all these contracts with all of these companies means that these companies, like with Gatorade and with Jordan, these companies now have vested interest in him. And if they see that he's not progressing the way that these companies do, I would say there's a 0% chance that somehow these companies don't step in and hypothetically, say 2 years from now, he's like, maybe he's not playing very well. I would almost 100% guarantee we're going to see pictures of Jordan and Zion working out together, like in a few years. And that's crazy. That would blow the internet up. But at the same time, I think we even could see that, even if he does play well. But I just think the fact that like these companies have the vested interest in the player, especially now because he signed these unprecedented deals for such a young player. Like, there's no way that they wouldn't step in if they saw that things were kind of going awry because of how much money they've spent on this player.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, man. Like, I forgot to even talk about the endorsements. Like, he was with Jordan before he even played a game, dude. He was already signed to Jordan.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It's and if you look at the Jordan, there's only like a handful of players that have signed with Jordan. Like, there's like probably like 30 players in the NBA, and if you look at the full list, I'd say probably 20 of the 30 are like borderline superstar type players. So, I mean, Jordan especially, because like that's like that the Jordan brand is like that is the NBA, like in a
Yeah,
way, like
yeah. It's one of the
Jordan's
biggest sports brands, right?
exactly,
So
and just the fact that Jordan is like when people talk about the NBA, it's like either they're talking about LeBron or they're talking about Jordan. So like
always,
I look at it
always.
that way,
Yeah.
where, and I mean that's kind of almost my mindset when I'm looking at sports cards, and I think in a way you're very similar, where we both have maybe more of a like marketing type of aspect to when we're looking at cards. At least, I mean,
Yeah,
I do at least,
exactly.
and because a lot of the
Yeah,
stuff, like especially since you're so deep in the content, and I think something happens there when you're so deep into the content that like you can kind of pick up on subtle things that maybe someone who isn't as involved in putting together content they might not see, like some of your LinkedIn stuff and some of just the content in general. Like when I was making content for LinkedIn, I felt like a lot of the sports marketing type of stuff that I was doing on LinkedIn was different than what I was seeing because I just was making it. And I think when you make it and when you start, and then even when you start maybe buying sports cards, I guess to kind of relate it to that aspect, when you're in it 24/7, maybe you see stuff that I guess maybe other people might not see.
exactly. That's true, man. When you're actually in it, like your ears are to the to what's coming out all the time.
Exactly.
Like your attention is just aware of everything. So yeah, the same way you said marketing, how I look at like I take all that into consideration. Like I know we spent a few minutes on that when we were on my podcast. Like culture, man, culture is such a huge deal in who I look at, or what card I'm looking at, and how sports has a peak, or this athlete has a peak, or some kind of influence. Culture is like huge, and Zion and culture is amazingly connected right now.
That's right. I mean, I told like I said, like he posted that picture of him like looking jacked, which I don't even think that's really what he looks like. Like I think
Uh-huh.
there's been like videos of him coming out, and that's not exactly what, like he doesn't look like how he did in that one picture of him with the mask, and like the internet
Yeah.
lost their mind. So like I don't think like it's there's been other players that have been like jacked and like come back jacked, and the internet didn't react the same way that
Yeah.
they did to that
Right.
Zion picture.
Right.
So like I think that type of opportunity with a player is very interesting, and I mean I think it's very obvious with Zion, but I feel like if you're in kind of the content mode, you can kind of see, and I mean it almost is similar to like getting more feedback on a piece of content. So like for me, I found that like it's not about how many likes or comments something get. It's about like what people are saying inside the comments. That's what I found. Like
Right.
if I can get
Gotta read the
if I
comments.
can get
Gotta
like
read it.
I don't know, let's just say 10 comments, but like if I between 10 comments and like 3 comments, but the 3 comments are like these written out things, I would much rather have it that way than have the 10 comments of people being like wow or cool or something along those lines. Like, and I'm assuming you
Yeah.
probably feel the same way.
Yeah, man. That's I feel exactly the same way, because when people write a comment, or people write a comment on your post, any post, Slab Stocks, Gary V's post, like I'm always looking at what somebody is saying, how I feel about that comment. Can I relate? Do I agree? Do I disagree? And I research on it. I research on my feeling about it, and like that's how I just get smarter, man. That's how I try to just be sharper at this card hobby. So I
So
agree.
so when you're doing so how often would you say you're spending time doing research on cards?
How often? Man, it's sporadic throughout the day, but it's like it's more often. Like I wake up, I'm trying to look at what happened to my card. What card do I have and how did it grow? Or I'm reading about something, or like today, for example, like what did I Google? I Googled, for some reason, I don't remember why I Googled it, but I was like, um, uh, 20, what was it? 20 things new sports cards investors should know, or something
Right.
like
Yeah,
that. And
I think I saw you
yeah,
post that
yeah. I just clicked it, man.
from
I just started
sport. I
reading.
think Sports Card Investor posted that article. It's pretty good.
Exactly. Yep. Yep. It was a good article. I was like, man, this is good right here. Like I can see what I did wrong, and like what makes sense and what I can do better. And like if anybody is following me, that like there's people, you probably already know this, of course. I'm just preaching to the choir, but there's people that are watching you that aren't saying anything, that are going off your information, man. They're buying cards. I have friends that are doing that. Like I had a friend just hit me. I haven't talked to this guy since high school, dude. Literally, senior year, haven't said one word to him, but I get a DM from him. He's like, "Yo, I got this card, these cards, blah blah blah." Like, yo, I'm trying to like, he's good because he's just naturally a collector. He has that kind of just natural talent for it because he's heavy in shoes and all that. And then I haven't talked to him in years, but I get a DM from him about cards. So yeah, man, I like I'm always like looking at stuff to read sporadically. I'm on eBay all the time. Even a card I'm not even into. I'm just curious, like what happened to this card? Where's this card going? What about this player? Just trying to keep an eye on things.
Yeah, totally. I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm living in that world basically of 24/7 almost. Like when I'm waking up, I'm checking to see stuff before, and as I'm going to bed, I'm checking eBay one more time just to do one more search. Like, just got to get one more search in before like I go to sleep. Stuff like that.
Exactly. I'm the same way, man.
Yeah.
Same exact way.
Yeah. So growing up did you like play sports growing up, or has that
Sure
affected?
did.
You did. So what sports did you play?
Yeah. So I grew up in martial arts, constantly training, man. That's not a big, global thing like that. But I was athletic, trained. We trained like athletes, man. We did all the drills like a basketball player would do or something, all the strengthening drills, footwork drills, like a soccer player would do, just to be overall better, explosive, powerful, on top of our game endurance. And just being and just for fun playing basketball. I was always athletic, playing with my brother, playing with friends in school. But in high school is when I finally played team sports. I did baseball sophomore year, basketball junior year, and senior year I did football and track. So did a lot of sports, but always into it, man. Always had a favorite team. Always rooted for this player. Always was paying attention. There was a time in middle school, man. I would say middle school freshman, I could name every player on the MLB baseball team. Every player. I don't know. I don't even know how I did that. Like, I couldn't do that now. I couldn't do that now, dude. I don't even know I don't even know how I was able to do that. But I can name you every single player. First base, second base, outfield. I can name the reserves. I don't even know how. I don't even know how I did that.
That's hilarious. So,
yeah.
So between growing up and where you are now, are the teams that you grew up watching, are those still the teams that you follow now?
Yeah. Steelers always been my football team. Yankees been my baseball team. Basketball's been Warriors. Always loved Kobe. Like, I was such a Kobe fan, man. Like, when I would play the video game. I forget what year it was, 2K9 or something, 2K10, one of those. I would change Kobe's age back to, because you could edit the age.
Right.
I would change him back to 18. That way he could just be in the league longer
that's
as
funny.
I play with as I play with the Warriors, and I would go crazy with Monte Ellis. I just wanted him to be in the game, and I would actually go back after I play my game. I would actually go back and see how the computer Kobe did.
Oh,
every time,
awesome.
dude.
That's so funny.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Right? I know. It's
so
crazy.
weird with Kobe because, like, so I'm from Massachusetts, so like I'm a diehard Boston fan of all the Boston sports. So like it was weird because like there was like a 3-year period where the Celtics and the Lakers, they played in the finals twice and we each won one. So it was like growing up, like it was weird because I didn't like Kobe when he was a player until like the end of his career, and it probably and honestly,
he's like the villain, right?
Yeah, it probably was because the Celtics were just so bad that I was like, at that time I was rooting for the Celtics to be bad because like they traded like Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett, and they had nobody on the team, and it was a hilarious team because they had like Chris Humphrey and they had like whoever the people that they traded from the Nets were just the most hilariously bad players, and they had these hilariously terrible $15 million contracts, which at the time were like unheard of. So I think like at the end of his career is when I started to enjoy Kobe because like the Celtics and Lakers we just never competed. And also being in the Western Conference, that meant that if Kobe was to win, that means LeBron wouldn't win. So that was like another thing where I feel like I'm sort of feeling the same about LeBron now where he's towards the end of his career. And I like him a little bit more, but at the same time, I almost feel like I shouldn't like him because like I grew up not liking him because I was a Celtics fan, but like now I just see his impact on and off the court, And
Yeah.
I don't know, it's hard not to enjoy just how good he is at the game. And I think maybe that's also what it is. I think, like with baseball cards, I think I have found myself enjoying sports more from sports cards. And I think I talked about this on your show as well. Like when I got into sports cards back in 2018, like I started following all the rookies from 2018, which, I mean, that class was like ridiculous. Had like Torres, had like Soto, like Acuna, like all those amazing players that are like borderline stars now. But it feels like even in basketball too now, it's like I enjoy the whole league. Like I enjoy rooting for the whole league more than I did before. Like, so, I mean, that was kind of long-winded a little bit for the Kobe love, but at the same time, I just feel like within sports cards, like I just enjoy this. I enjoy sports more because of sports cards. Like, is that something that you feel as well?
Oh, 100,000%, man. And what I like about it is there's something that hit me, I would say, towards like end of the senior year going to college where I just stopped being so hardcore connected to my teams. And I don't know what it was. Like I still love the sports. I just stopped being a super fan. And I stopped being so biased. And that's why, like, even with the Steelers, I'm not that fan who bases things off of fan optimism, right? Like I know if my team's good or not, and I'm willing to admit that. Like I know if my team is gonna lose. Like even when the Yankees play the Red Sox, I'm like, dude, the Red Sox are way better. Just because I'm a fan, I can't sit there and say my team's gonna beat them. Like if I know, like, no, the Red Sox are gonna beat us this series. Like if I say that in New York, like they went my head. They were in my head. You know what I mean? But
they're not gonna be happy about that one.
Yeah, but I'm the fan who's like, nah, dude, like they're really good. They're gonna beat us. Same thing with the Steelers. I'm like, nah, Steelers aren't that good. Like it's not gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen for us. And I think that's why sports cards works for me because you can't be so biased because you can get if you go based off your fandom and just being biased, you can really make some wrong moves because you're going with your heart instead of you know, a fact or what's actually happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
I mean, totally. And so being a Steelers fan, is that just because at the time when you were growing up there was no football in LA and you just were a Steelers fan?
oh well, I mean, I'm in the Bay Area, but
right? So you got this
yeah,
49ers.
so it's Niner fans, yeah, hardcore Niner fans over here, Raider fans over here.
Right.
The same thing, man. The recent Super Bowl. Like I was telling my friends, and I'm not that guy who's like, I'm gonna root against you just because you're rooting for this team. I'm like, guys, Patrick Mahomes is the truth.
Yeah.
Like, this guy is bad. I'm sorry. Like, you guys have a great defense, but I can't see you beating Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
And I didn't almost guess the score, dude. It was so crazy. I was off by like 3 points. But yeah, and I'm like, they're just gonna win. Like, that's the team. And yeah, and so, but the reason why I like Steelers is because my dad and my uncle, they grew up on them. They liked them. They watched them in the 70s with the steel curtain, and they just fell in love with them. So just naturally, I guess, because my dad and my uncle, grew on me.
Yeah, I mean, I also might be a little bit less biased on buying cards. And I don't mean to brag here, but there's been a few championships that have been won from Boston teams. So like, I don't know if that has anything to do with like being able to just be like, I can just enjoy sports now. And like, it's so insane because like, it's so funny because whenever a Boston team wins, there's this like one kid, I forget his name, but he has this sign and he was born in 2000 and he goes to all the parades and he's like, I've won 17 championships and being alive for 20 years or whatever the number is. And it's like, oh my God, that's insane. And like, I mean, for me, insane. Like, I mean, it wasn't always necessarily like that, but once 2001 hit, it was just like championship after championship. Yeah. And it's like, it's like crazy, with Brady being gone now, it's like, I don't know what the Patriots going to do. I mean, they got Cam, and I think I would say that's probably the best case scenario. Like, being
it is. It's the best case scenario. Yeah.
It's funny to see the Bills fans. Like, I saw like a video of a Bills fan being like, look, I was so excited for this year, and now I'm just devastated. Like, Cam couldn't have gone anywhere. Like, the Patriots had to get Cam, and I'm like, that's just so funny. Oh, my God, I love that. I love those videos of the tables that the Bills do. Like they like jump through like the Bills Mafia or whatever.
Right,
They jump through tables. Those videos are
they're
hilarious.
crazy. Yeah, they're crazy, man.
So yeah, I mean, I guess we can wrap things up. I have one last question. It's not related to sports cards, but you did like my tweet that I tweeted on Friday night about the Juice WRLD album. Now, have you heard the Juice WRLD album?
No, man. Rest in peace to Juice WRLD, first of all. But no, man, I'll be honest, man. I have not. I haven't listened to no Juice WRLD, man. To be honest with you, I'm serious. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm guessing you saying I need to go listen.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. I mean, like for me, the music is so weird. Like I have this like weird concept in my head with music that like I can like trick myself into being creative by listening to a certain type of music. Like whenever I'm getting like stuck on a project or something, like so for some reason, like during a time period when I was super creative, I was listening to the first Logic album. So like I put that first album on and I just listened to it through. Cause like I think what I was doing at the time, like back in 2017 probably, I would sit down like at nighttime, like when I was about to go to bed, not about to go to bed, but I was like finishing up the day. I would put together like a graphic thing and I would put on the Logic album and I would just design for the start to the finish of the album. And then whatever the design was when it finished, I was like, okay, that's it. That's done. And now that's just like what I listen to. So like, I mean, for you, I know that you do like playlists and stuff like that on Spotify and like a lot of your content is music related. Like, so other than Lil Wayne, like what type of music are you like into?
Man, I like how you said you like how music connects to your creativity. Like I love to listen to like jazz, man. Even when I'm working out, training people, I just love to mix it up, get out of the hip hop a little bit, and just throw on some jazz music. It's called hard bop. I like that hard bop. It's like a good pace to it. I even like Spanish music. I like the salsa music. I like some of that Cuban jazz. I like all that, man. I just like to play it. Even once in a while, I won't say every time, all the time, but twice a year, man. I'll throw on classical music for whatever reason.
That's so funny that you say that because I was just about to say that like as of recently, I've been listening to a lot of like going to like Spotify and just putting on like a Beethoven playlist. And just like listening to that like randomly. Like I've also been listening to you know the meme that's like that YouTube playlist that's like lo-fi beats to chill and study to, you know? So I actually like listen to that playlist on Spotify like all the time.
That's a trip.
It's actually like it's decent. I mean, because I think what ends up it's like usually when I'm trying to like write copy for something for my work, it's because it's sound, but it's not. There's no words, and I think that's probably the thing. Because like I'll get distracted if there's words, because in my head I have like ADD or something, and if the music's playing, I'll like start in my head. I'll start singing the song, and then I like forget what I'm writing, and then I got to restart. But so like the lo-fi beats to chill and study to is actually like a decent playlist to listen to.
That is awesome, man. No, I relate so much, man. It's good to mix up music. When I work out, there's only two things I really listen to, man. I only listen to Lil Wayne or a Gary Vee podcast usually. I even listened to your podcast one time when I was working out. Like if I want to get some information in, I'll do that too. I'll throw something on. But 99%, it's like Lil Wayne or a Gary Vee podcast. But music I do love. I'm a huge Michael Jackson fan. Like love Michael Jackson. I think he's the greatest musical artist ever. I can listen to Michael Jackson all day, every day. Grew up on him since I was 2 years old, man. Just watching videos of him on VHS, and then also classic rock. My dad helped me and my brother get into that. So I've been to a few Kiss concerts.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
Live. Yeah, man. So love classic rock. AC/DC, Led Zeppelin, Def Leppard. I like this Thin Lizzy song called "Dance in the Moonlight." It's a great song, such a great song. And then with my playlist you're talking about, like I love listening to people that are making music currently that aren't known, that are super underground, that have 100 followers, 1,000 followers, that are still making music in their mom's basement. I love just going on Instagram randomly and listen to what people are up to and throwing their music over my kickboxing class and working out to it, and then sending them a video of us working out to their song. Like I like doing that, man. I like dabbing into different stuff.
Nice. Yeah, that's super. I mean, like I said, I think the kickboxing stuff, it's I don't necessarily watch people really like work out, but like your videos with the music and stuff are actually like enjoyable for someone who doesn't really, I'm not really interested in that type of content. It's actually still like very interesting. And a lot, I mean, like I said, I think your content is great from a standpoint where it's like if you're interested in anything, I think if you're that, well, you'll find that at some point you probably have talked about it most likely. Which, like, I mean, sports cards obviously for me and for anybody else, maybe it's into kickboxing, maybe people are into music, maybe people are into like other like industry marketing type of stuff. I mean, across the board, I think you have some phenomenal stuff that you're putting out.
Dude, I appreciate that, man. I can also say the same about you. Like, I can tell you're really good at your craft. Like, you really are into marketing. But like when I used to read, what was it? When you were making content at the beginning, it was always about the look of the card. Like, you were really into that. The look of the card, this, that, this, you like, stuff that I don't even know or even wouldn't want to look at really. But you're just like, this version of this card was different from this, and how they put that. Like, that's good stuff, man. And that's the art sports cards that, is going to be significant in the sport as well.
Yeah,
or in the hobby.
That's sort of where I came from originally, was the graphic design world. So, like, I mean, even the writing stuff, I don't even know. Like, I never really, like, being a graphic designer, like going to school for graphic design, like all my projects were design projects. I wrote some papers for some classes, but like for the most part, like, but if I hadn't been doing the writing stuff, then that wouldn't have led me to everything else. So, I mean, it's interesting how kind of the process of everything happens. And even if you get to a point, it feels like you never thought that you'd get to that point. And it's like, you wouldn't get there unless you started the one thing that you never thought you would. And it's crazy sometimes.
Exactly, man. Exactly. Oh, speaking of music, man, did you see what Drake posted on his stories? I didn't see it.
He said something about like it's not a single, it's an album or something. I saw something, he posted something, but I don't remember what it was.
No, man, it was he has I forget what Beckett
the Tupac thing.
Yeah,
I did see that. That was awesome.
Yeah, you know how we've been talking about like culture and like I've been saying it too. Like I've been like, people are getting upset when Gary Vee posts about cards, and I'm like, Gary Vee's not even the biggest name out there. Like, we know Gary Vee, we know him because we follow him, but Gary Vee's not even close to what Rihanna is in culture, and Drake, and like Future or Chris Brown, like or Megan Thee Stallion. Like, when people,
Migos,
those guys have hundreds of, they have 100 million followers, right? Like, when they say something, a lot of people are seeing it. And then Drake, I was like, one day Drake's gonna post something about a card or something. And I don't look at Drake's stories, but Gary Vee's team, they started a podcast about cards, and then they posted a picture of that from his stories that Drake has a Beckett graded Tupac note that Tupac wrote. I forget what it said, man. It was like, thanks for something. I think it was for food or something. I forget what it was. But yeah, he has a sport company graded thing with Tupac, and that was just super interesting.
So when I went on the Gary Vee, he did like a live stream, like in February maybe, and one of the questions I asked him, because I was like, so Lou is his like sports card guy that works as one of Gary's assistants, and
Lou, that's the one,
Lou, and he shout out to Lou, because Lou's the man. So he like messaged me on Discord, I think it was, and was saying like, send your number. And one of the questions I asked was like, what player do you think is going to invest in cards? And his answer was he didn't know, but he was like, at All-Star Weekend, I was talking to Donovan Mitchell and telling him to buy his cards. So like, I don't know, there's a chance that Mitchell might own some of the cards, which it's so funny because like when I bought a bunch of Donovan Mitchell cards actually before that even happened.
Nice.
And then like literally maybe 2 weeks.
Good card.
Yeah, 2 weeks. 2 weeks after I bought the card, he got the Corona, and I was like, oh my, like damn, dude. Which granted, the card that I bought I bought it for $25, and I bought 7 of them for $25 a piece. The PSA 10 Panini Select, and I'm trying to sell them for like $120 a piece because that's what they're selling for. So like. Obviously, the Corona had nothing to do with what the price is now, but it was just funny that like
it's gonna go up.
Yeah, it's gonna go up. And then I think I might have been on your podcast, and I said I talked about this with I also bought a Jamal Murray card, and he had a little bit of
Nice, good
controversy
play.
where like he posted like a not safe for work picture on his Instagram on accident of like his girlfriend, and it was like within the same time period of when I bought the card. So I was like, I had just bought a Jason Tatum card. I'm like, Jason Tatum better watch out because like something bad's gonna happen.
Man. Well, I didn't hear nothing about that Jamal one. I haven't heard nothing about Jason either.
No, I don't think anything bad happened to Jason Tatum. But at the time, I was just like, "Am I like cursed or something? Like, what's going to happen?"
I know that you'd have been 3 for 3.
Yeah, seriously, it was all within that time period too. Because like I was buying Panini Select was just the one that I was buying because it was very similar to Prism, and I thought it was undervalued. And I mean, it has gone up in value a pretty decent amount, so I'm pretty excited about that.
That's a good eye, man. That's such a good eye. That's what I'm telling people. I get messages from people and they're like, should I get a Luka? I'm like, I mean, you could. Like, I still believe his cards are gonna go up, but look at the third tier cards. Look at Hoops. Look at Don Russ. Look at Select. Look at what people aren't necessarily all drooling over right now.
Yeah,
because those cards still are gonna go up.
Yeah, I just think like with Prism, it's pretty interesting because what's happened with Prism is that it's become like it's so expensive and so hard to find that it's almost like a high end product now. Because like it's like with the National Treasures, like the National Treasures collegiate boxes weren't as expensive as like the regular boxes that came out a couple probably 2 months ago maybe, but like the Prism boxes are almost impossible to find. And like if you want to buy a Luka Prism card, it's like you got to spend like $800-900 on it. It's like I don't think anybody really coming in.
Yeah,
like maybe high, an investor, like someone who has the money, maybe would be coming in and buying those cards. But like someone who, someone who's just coming in, I don't know if that's necessarily affordable for most people coming in. So that's like you said, looking into like some of the lower tiered cards makes a lot of sense for people that are coming in, because if you're making the right call on a player, I think overall the card may not go up in total money, but it may go up in value similar to what the like Prism card does.
Exactly. Like, yeah, like if you like that's why I'm looking at the Devin Booker, because Devin Booker, that rookie Prism one I had was like 160. Now it's at 450, but his Don Russ is at 150. So I'm like, that's the next card I would get, because that's what everybody else is gonna want if they can't get that that his true rookie card.
Right.
So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll wrap things up here. So Jason, let everybody know all the places they can find you. I know it's all over the internet, but let the audience know where they can find you.
You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter at Jason WTTW. Find me on Facebook, Jason Richardson Albini. That's ALBINI. Same thing on LinkedIn, Jason Richardson Albini. And I have a podcast. You can also find that. It's called Kickin' It with Jason. Kicking It, no G at the end. Just Kicking It with Jason. So that's where I'm at, man.
Perfect. And I'll make sure to include all these links everywhere so everybody can find you, like tweeting out and stuff like that. So, Jason, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you, Adam. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, definitely.
Man.
Thanks.
All right, later.